All right, we are live for another Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate here on the Arrow Title Services page. And if you guys have never tuned into this before, you guys have been missing out. In weeks coming and weeks past, we have always done this Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate, and we do new topics every week that we do it. And this week's topic is a really hot topic y'all are not going to want to miss. We are going to talk about advice for local buyers in our crazy real estate market right now. And we know that the locals are going a little stir crazy with everything that's going on. So we are going to walk y'all through that and give you guys some advice as to how to navigate this market. We have local realtors and lenders who come on here each time we go live, and they share with you their big brains in real estate, the things that they're seeing, and all of the tips that they have. So this is Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate. We run this in a couple different parts. The first and foremost, we're going to talk about the topic about advice for these local buyers, and each of them are going to give their input, and then we'll have a discussion portion about everything that's going on. And then the second portion after that is each of these local professionals will give you their number one top tip of the week, which is always great to tune into. And you guys can always reach out to these local professionals on their Facebook pages that are located in the description of this video. So let's get right into the nitty gritty of this. And this is hosted every single time by me, Lucie McGuire with Arrow Title Services, where we handle your real estate closings. But we're going to get into this awesome topic of local advice for local buyers in our market right now. So we are going to start off with Eric. So Eric, please start us off.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for the platform. This is Eric Griemsmann with eXp Realty. A couple tips that I actually wanted to focus my talk on today was terms of the contract, and biggest thing is just be patient. We all know this market is crazy. We all know there's many buyers out there. Just bear with the craziness, and we will get you to the closing table. So what I really wanted to talk about was the terms for local buyers. Terms are going to be your huge thing of getting your contracts accepted in this market, and working with your local professional and your local lenders. Me and Jessica Pecora actually just had a great conversation a little bit ago about this, and terms are huge. So when I'm working with my clients is I focus on three things. It's inspection period, it's purchase price, and it's down payment. So one of the things that I do with my clients is I already have an inspector that I work with a lot, and before I even put in a offer, I'll call them and ask them, hey, I'm about to put on a 5-day inspection period. Are you available for this? Because I don't want to promise something that I can't hold myself to. And they usually say yes. So that's one of the biggest things that I do. Second thing is the down payment. So, or the escrow deposit, should I say. So I suggest to my clients is, what are you thinking about your escrow deposit? They usually most of the time say 1,000 to 3,000. I simply say, you know, in this market, maybe a year ago that might have been enough to put down on a home, but in this market, if you want to be competitive, then it needs to be a little bit more aggressive. So I usually say is, you know, 3,000 to 5,000 within the first 3 days of acceptance, and then after the inspection period, which is usually 5 to 7 days after, putting down an additional deposit, because these sellers want to see that you have skin in the game. That's the biggest thing right now, is having as much skin in the game. Obviously it changes with cash buyers, but that's pretty much the biggest thing. And then the third thing is purchase price. I usually throw an escalation clause in there. So I ask my client is, hey, what's the most amount of money that you're looking to pay for this house? It's going to be whatever it is, you know, what you're willing to pay for it. So hypothetically, you're looking at a $225,000 house. Oh, I only want to be up to 235. So I'll put in an escalation clause for up to 235,000 with $1,000 increments over the highest offer. So that's the three ideas that I usually suggest to my clients, and I would suggest to a local buyer that's looking to purchase a home in this market. And getting with your local lender is huge with that, because numbers are everything. So that's all I have for that portion.
Awesome, Eric. That was great contractual information for the buyers in the market right now, starting us off on the right foot right there, as always. And there are a lot of facets that can kind of go into the process of being a buyer right now. And there's so many different ways to look at it. And I know that a lot of people are getting really concerned with how much things are moving, but patience, like you said, is really key. And just knowing those little nuances that are going to help them along the way. So thanks, Eric, for starting us off in that direction. And I'm excited to hear what everybody else has to add to it, because there are so many facets. So we will go to Jessica next.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lucy. My name is Jessica Cazabat, and I am a realtor with NextHome Treasure Coast. My tips for today was this goes, not only for local buyers, but for especially buyers coming in town. Local lender, local lender, local lender. These are the folks that work with your agents day in, day night through all of our transactions. Trusted professionals that we have working relationships with. That is super, super important. If something goes sideways, I know that I can stand in somebody's office to be like, hey, what's going on? I usually don't have to do that. Usually a Facebook message or a text message suffice. But if something does go sideways, especially with this market being as intense as it is, having somebody local that I can talk to that knows who I am versus trying to handle a lender through Rocket Mortgage or Lending Tree, where your file and who you are as a buyer, you're just a number. And every time we have to call and speak to somebody, they don't know who you are, they don't know the situation, they have to be brought up to speed, where I can pick up the phone, call my local lender, and they're like, oh yeah, what's going on with so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. So very, very important. In addition to our local lender with a good reputation, local title company with a good reputation. Once again, these are people that we're working with. We have relationships with them. They're real people. They're not some entity in California that's handling this. Sometimes that is unavoidable, but if at all possible, having your local title company being the person that's holding your escrow deposit, if something does go sideways, once again, we know where your money is. So I thought was super, super important. Touching back on Eric's suggestion, your terms for your contracts, your reduced inspection periods, if at all possible. Last time I was on here, I explained that I had a condo inspection at 6:30 in the morning with my inspector because we got it done. I now have a client in their condo. So, I mean, whatever has to be done within reason, we're going to do it. And once again, it's these people that we have working relationships with that are willing to go above and beyond and provide that next level, that next 1% that makes us that much more better, to make sure that we're doing what we have to do to get you in your home. I also wrote down budget for closing costs, budgeting for your earnest money deposit, and the agent that you're working with, see if they can have some sort of a relationship with this other, if you're a seller, the listing agent, excuse me, being able to reach out to the listing agent and saying, hey, what kind of terms is your seller looking for? Do they need an extension or an increased closing time to get this sold because they're waiting on the purchase of their next home? There's so many people that are selling the home that they're in, but they're delayed because there's a delay with the home they're trying to get into. So we have a lot of situations where sellers are trying to get into their next home as fast as they can while buyers are trying to move into that home. So being flexible with that will earn you so much brownie points with the seller that you're going to work with, and being, like Eric said, patient, being amenable. That's what's going to make it happen. You want to seem like you're a reasonable buyer, and that you're flexible, and you're not going to be one of those lovely people that are a little bit challenging to work with. And I guess lastly is answer your phones, buyers. If your agent's calling you, there's a reason. If they're texting you, answer your phone. If they email you, if you're one of those people out there that don't check your email often during the process of your sale of your home, please check your emails, because Your agent will be trying to get in touch with you. Title is going to be sending you important information. Your lender is going to be sending you imperative information. So this is how we communicate to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So do your due diligence so that your agent is able to do their due diligence and everything that they need to get you into your next home.
Awesome, Jess. That was great information. You touched on so many important parts of the process. Communication being a huge one, and using local people, huge, because having those connections locally, they're going to be able to get you and guide you and make it so that you are getting to where you need to be in that process, connecting you with the right dots. Because if one of those dots goes astray and the communication lacks, then it can really make bumps in all of the process. So having those local people, we talk about that all the time on this show, is the local aspect of speaking with these local professionals is so important. And communicating, whether you're the buyer, seller, the realtor, the title company, the lender, like everybody has to communicate to make it work. And it's just an awesome piece of the process, but you get that more so when you're working with local people who know the area and want to work with each other, rather than someone who's in another state and has no connection to this area, or even down south, or, you know, whatever might be hours away and they have no connection to this area. It can make the communication a little bit harder to have. So thanks, Jess, for bringing those up. Those are great tips as well. All right, so we're gonna throw it down to Codi, still on the realtor side of things, and then we'll be getting to the lending side, so stay tuned, guys. But Codi, go ahead, tell us your input.
Hello, this is Codi with Bourgeois Real Estate Group. Eric and Jessica pretty much touched on everything, but I would say, you know, with all the competition that's out here, I mean, it's imperative that you work with local professionals, because, you know, not only is it our knowledge of the business, but a lot of it has to do with relationships, the relationships that we all have that kind of help these processes go faster. So you want to make sure you deal with local people. And, you know, I always try to tell people also, usually when they're looking for a home, to probably, you know, pick more than one property. There's so much competition out there. You may end up putting offers on more than one property, or you may have to, because there's so many people fighting over them. You know, for some people, this is going to be, you know, their biggest purchase. Others have done this more than once, but no matter where in the spectrum you are, it is going to need your undivided attention, especially in this market. There's so much going on, and so many things have to be done in a certain amount of time. And it's just because of all the competition out there. I mean, this needs your undivided attention. So, you know, like she said, answer your phone, check your emails, make sure you're on top of everything you need to be on top of. You know, this is you really need to pay attention to what's going on here, especially with, you know, having to be competitive and bringing your highest and best. So that's all I got.
Love that, Codi. And I'd like to even add to your point and reiterate what you're kind of saying, is that, you know, there is so much communication that's needed there. Do not be afraid to ask questions. If you're working with the right local professional, it's going to be okay. If any professional that you're working with makes you feel like you can't be asking questions and don't know the process, nobody knows. There's so much to this process. Like, nobody expects you to know every single thing. So if you have questions, ask those questions. If you're working with the right local professional, they will make you feel completely secure in asking those questions and explain those questions to you, and not make you feel like you're out of place for asking them. So keep that in mind. But great points, Codi. Thanks for hashing out on those. And we're going to get to one of the other most valuable parts of the process. We have the realtor, which is a really important part. We have title, and we have lending. We all know that lending is such a huge piece, and we have Jessica Pecora here, and she is going to give us her insight from the lending perspective, advice for local buyers. Take it away, Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I am a local lender here. I actually live in Port St. Lucie. I am a lender with Coast to Coast Lending. One of the first things, I think it's a great point that Lucy brought up, is like, make sure you ask questions. I am already prepared. My first time home buyers, it's the first conversation I have. I usually say, hey, if you think you're asking a lot of questions, you're probably asking the average amount of questions I get with my first time home buyers. So it's not a big deal. And I'd rather you ask questions because you don't want to move into a home and regret not asking certain questions. So I just wanted to start with that. But always, my number one is make sure you go to the lender first. And I always say that because you want to make sure that you know your budget, that you know that your max home amount, and then of course that you go shopping within that max home amount. So once you get comfortable and you say, okay, I can do this, I can move forward. Once you get the financing, because the financing, right, is the most important part. Money talks, and it's a very important process, is to make sure that your budget align with that your mortgage aligns with your budget, and that's number one, most important. Now, being a local in the area, you do have an advantage over those who are not a local in the area. So you probably know of good locations, what would be the more expensive and the least expensive. So you do have that advantage. But getting a local realtor who can get a game plan together and that can work with the lender to basically make them what we call the most competitive offer, so that your offer does get accepted, right? Or it's more likely to get accepted. Local people who know this area know, okay, well, my budget is X amount of dollars. I probably won't be able to get a home maybe in Jensen, maybe Stuart, maybe have to go to Port St. Lucie or even Fort Pierce. Local realtors, local lenders will know that trend, will know what budget to keep you in and where the locations are. And being a local person, you'll be able to gauge, okay, this is 15 minutes from home, this is 20 minutes from my home. And all of those factors can be in line of what is best for you. Because really that's what it comes down to, is what's best for you. No two deals are alike, but that's what we're here for, is to make sure that we get the best home for the price within your budget, and to make sure that on all playing fields that you're happy. That's really what it is in the end.
Thank you, Jessica. Great input there from the lending side of things, and just all great points that all of you guys have brought up. And now we're going to go into the discussion portion of this, which is really where the meat and potatoes kind of come out, because we can always kind of feed off of each other. And guys, I think one of the biggest things that locals are really afraid of are the prices right now, right? So we have a lot of our prices that are going up, and a lot of the locals are the ones that are very worried about it, because they think whatever it might be, there's a lot of hoopla out there, right? People are talking, there's commotion, and our prices are going up. Our area is becoming more popular. More people are discovering our area, which is naturally going to happen. So I think, in the hot market that we're in, locals feel like pulling the trigger on some things is not maybe the smartest thing for them. And as from the lending perspective, Jessica can tell you this, it really depends, or any of the local professionals can tell you on this, it really depends on your specific situation, on how prepared you are to pull the trigger on anything. But in terms of the general market, this market, I don't think is going to stop in any regard. Like it might go a little bit, not be as crazy, but it's not, we live in such a popular area, and I think we are better positioned than the majority of the rest of the US with where we are located and people discovering us. We are still in the beginning stages of this area growing. I've lived here my entire life, and I've only seen it grow more and more and more. So I want us to kind of open the discussion in that aspect of things, because I know locals are afraid to kind of get into the market because they might think things are going to crash, whatever it might be. Like there's all of this kind of unseated fear. So I'd love for us to kind of go into that discussion.
I'd like to jump in there first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Jessica actually and I had this conversation as well. It's like what I believe is in about 3 or 4 episodes back of our videos. I basically talked about the new baseline, the new norm for our area. I truly believe that you won't see prices where what the locals may think they may get again I don't think you'll ever see it again, to be honest, because we're growing so much. So that's my take on that. And a couple of the other things I just wanted to touch on in the discussion was, Jessica was so right as saying this is a team sport. You know, working with your selling agent is huge. One of the deals I just got accepted was, I called the selling agent and I asked her, what is your client looking for? You know, what are they looking to do? Because this has to be a win-win situation, win-win-win situation. It's never win-win. It's a win-win-win situation. And I think it's very, very important to find out what the other person's needs are just as much as your clients, because that will help you get deals accepted.
Absolutely, Eric. That's great. Go ahead, Cody.
So I think one of the biggest problems here is the misunderstanding of the transition. So I've had clients that were looking for rentals, but because they had such a hard time, they're now trying to transition to purchasing because they think it's going to be an easier process. And I'm trying to explain to them that it's not going to be easier. It's going to be just as difficult, but it's still going to require your attention. So, I mean, it's a different ball game, but it still requires you to produce what we need you to produce. It still requires for you to be on top, you know, on ball with everything that we're going to need. And then they also feel like they speak as if, you know, the prices haven't changed. Like they're expecting that we can still find those rentals or those house prices of the past. And it's like, you know, those days are gone. You know, there's so many people coming here, they're driving the prices up on everything. Those days are gone. So, you know, you're going to have to, you know, make whatever changes in your life you're going to have to make in order to adapt to this new structure, because I don't see it going backwards either. I mean, some houses might be overpriced, but this trend is just going to keep going on and on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, Cody. And I want to add on to that really quick, and then whoever else wants to chime in, is that the people that are moving here are coming from very expensive areas.
Exactly.
The pandemic has hit the entire world, but people don't want to be in crowded areas anymore, and they don't have to because of the remote work. And that is only feeding more into the popularity of this area. It already was a popular area before, and it was already growing, but there's that extra layer that's feeding onto it. And the people that are coming here, it's affordable for them. We still live in a very affordable area relative to the areas around us and the states around us. So we have to think about that as well as a local, because it's hard when you see all these prices going up. You're like, well, I'm not getting paid anymore, right? Like, and it's understandable, but there are a lot of jobs that are also being brought into the local areas to help facilitate that as we go through in the next few years. So it's like, you have to keep those aspects in mind as a local, because we're the most critical of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's what I try to tell them. Like, it's a double-edged sword, because, you know, somebody from up north who just sold a house for $800,000 can come down here and buy a house for $300,000, and that's a deal to them.
Yeah.
But somebody who's been living here, you know, that's a lot of money. I mean, you used to be able to buy a house for 180 grand, 150 grand. I mean, I sold one in Newport Isles for 170,000 last year. So now the average price in PSL is 335,000. I read somewhere. You know, Martin County's 400 plus. You know, the average rental is 2,000 plus. I mean, those are the new numbers that they're going to have to adapt to, unfortunately.
I just want to add, I believe I heard, like, this was years ago, and I've lived in Martin County for 37 years, my whole entire life. So natural progression of everybody moving is either north, people coming from Miami north. And just with that being said, is I just remember years back that when Port St. Lucie was coming to fruition, that it was meant to become the new West Palm or the new Lauderdale. That's why it's growing so much now, is because it is the new West Palm or the new Lauderdale or the new Miami.
With a different vibe. But
right.
Yeah.
With a different vibe. Right. Correct.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I think also people need to, buyers need to understand rates are still low right now. We're still hovering. We're back and forth, sub 3, a little bit over 3. This is still historic lows, you know, and I hear a lot of folks saying that they're very nervous or they're waiting to buy because everything's so overinflated right now. But what I like people to understand is that if you're buying a $300,000 house in this market at a 3.25% APR, next year, the year after, when our rates start creeping up, you're going to be saving a lot more money making that purchase now than buying that $325,000 house at a 4.5%, 4.75%, and 5%, because you're right now still able to get a lot of house for the money that you're using to buy. And here in Port St. Lucie, we still are seeing homes going in that 250 to 275 range that are in great condition. And also bear in mind, we're still seeing, you know, supply shortages and lumber shortages, and that's driving the cost of new homes up as well, new construction. So it's something to be aware of. So if you're able to, as a renter, if you're, like Codi said, if you're renting a home that's $2,000, $2,200 a month, 322, maybe with the pool, that's almost $8,000. That's almost $8,000 right there. Your first, last, and security to move in. And God forbid if you have to pay admin fees and cleaning fees, all that fun stuff adds up. Well, guess what? On a 275 home with a FHA 3.5%, you're almost there to your down payment and your closing costs. And we still have programs in place to help those first-time home buyers, state and local. And we have so many other products that are coming available and new to the market that is still geared toward helping folks become homeowners. So if you have $8,000 to, you know, first, last, and security to move into a single family home, you might want to talk to your realtor and reach out to your lender and see how poised you are in order to turn that first, last, and security into a down payment on your home. The federal government is talking about releasing 2 more stimulus checks. So if we get 2 more stimulus checks, that's money that could close that gap from your first, last, and security into making that a down payment and your closing costs. So I'm just asking people, be realistic in this market, use your head and talk to your money professionals, because we can gear you and guide you to get you onto the path of home ownership. Because in the end, you're either going to be paying your own mortgage or you're going to be paying your landlord's mortgage. What are you going to do?
I'm glad you brought that up, Jessica, and maybe Jessica can shine some light in. I was talking to another local lender. There's actually programs out there, like you were saying, is if you got 8,000 to put down towards a home, there are down payment assistance programs are becoming more popular towards closing costs and stuff like that. Even with lower credit scores, I've heard, you know, they're starting to loosen the guidelines. And like I said, if Jessica, maybe not to put her on the spot, but you know, maybe she can shine some light on that.
There are great programs out there. I don't, you know, I take it by case basis when I talk about these programs, because I always want to make sure that each person who goes into programs like this, that they understand the pros and the cons to down payment assistance programs. So anyone who's looking for down payment assistance programs, I always want to make sure that you know your pros and cons to that, because there are pros and cons to both. But I actually wanted to add to the conversation of our growing city. So some of the top cities in the US grow like 5 or 6% per year. Those are some of the top cities. Port St. Lucie grew 8% last year. And this is during COVID, when we weren't supposed to move around a lot. That's significant. We've seen, well, I'm local, you know, like I said, Eric and I have had this conversation earlier today, and I grew up in Jupiter, and Jupiter was almost like this area here where there wasn't much. I mean, Indiantown Road was a 2-lane highway or 2-lane street. Now it's almost 4 lanes on each side. It's huge. And now I see people coming up more and more north, and we still, from here to Vero, we're still building, and we're still growing. So we do have great home prices compared to Miami. People moving up here from Miami going, oh my gosh, a 3.2 is how much? And I know if you're local here, you're thinking that the home price is great. But to others moving to this area, it's a lot less, and the taxes are way less than somebody from New York. The other thing is that millennials are the largest generation since baby boomers. And you have all of these millennials who have the money saved and who are ready to buy a home, start a family. And all of these millennials are coming in trying to buy a home. We went through a housing where a big refinance. So a lot of people have locked in rates in the two, so they're less likely to move. You have low inventory due to, that, and the fact that they basically sold out of all of their inventory because everyone decided to move. And then you have the Northerners, people who are more going remote. So people who wanted to move to Florida who couldn't because of their job, now they can. And then of course you also have inflation. That's all of these factors are playing a role in this hot housing market. And so that's why you have all of these four factors. So basically all of these four factors have to go away to stabilize. So we don't know when that's going to happen. And again, just like Jessica was saying, you may qualify for a $350,000 home at 3%, but you may not qualify at 4%. So that interest rate helps others qualify. So people who weren't, and that's why it's also a hot housing market. So people who weren't able to qualify for a home before now can qualify with that lower interest rate. And so all of these factors play into home buying. And that's why we always say, we're not just telling you like buy, we're not telling you like, oh, it's a great time to buy like a generic. No, it is actually a great time to buy because we know that people who did not buy 3 years ago are now kicking themselves.
Yeah.
So I just want to contribute that. Thank you.
No, thanks,
Well
Jess.
said.
That was great. Boom, boom. But I Eric, I'll get to you in just 2 seconds. I want to add in there because it's relevant to what they were just saying. Like, I think for locals, it's really important for them to understand, one, locals usually want to stay in this area. If you have kids, you want to stay in this area, you want to have your kids going to the same schools, you want them to be in a solidified environment. You have to stop thinking in the short term. You're thinking, oh, in the next year or 2 years, and maybe I'll buy and it'll be less crazy then or whatever. You don't know what it's going to be like in a year or two. We don't either. Nobody knows. But just like Jess said, this is a good time to buy, and this is a good area to invest in. People that were just trying to buy 3 years ago and saying it was too expensive, like Jessica said, are kicking themselves right now. I mean, in 2017, I was looking to buy a house and it was $150,000 in Port St. Lucie to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That does not exist now. And it is just, but how would I have known, and things didn't work out for whatever reason, but you have to think long-term. And if you have kids, if you have a family, think about that interest rate. That interest rate being lower is going to last the entirety of your loan. If you're going to stay in that home for even 10, 20, 30 years, think about the money you're going to save having that lower interest rate. Why are you going to worry about saving however many thousands of dollars you think you're going to save by waiting a year or two? Why would you risk that when the interest rates are at this astronomical low, when the most money, that's money that is being given to someone else. That is not going towards you, that is going towards banks. And the money that's going towards your house is for you. That is investing into your property. That is money that you can take back out of your property. Like, that is all your money and it's an investment. So you have to think about it like that. Like, people aren't thinking about it like that, and they're thinking in the short term. And it's like, if you're buying a house, how long are you realistically going to have that house for? If you're going to have it for 10, 20, maybe 30 years, think like 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Think about this area 10 years ago, this area 20 years ago, and how those people are in a great position right now. And think down the line that way. That's how you have to think, especially with the low rates right now.
I want to add too, that people should think about this like, you always hear the saying, invest in yourself, right? So think about it like an investment. You go rent a property for $2,000 a month, let's say. You got $6,000 that you got to give to them right away to move in. And then you're going to pay them $2,000 a month over the next 12 months. That's $31,000 right there. That isn't going to do anything for you other than provide the roof. So, think about if you can get a mortgage for $1,600 a month, $1,800 a month, what that extra $200 or $400 towards your principal is going to do for you over that 12 months. So think about it like an investment. And then, like Lucie said, this is, whatever your interest rate is, that's the entirety of your mortgage. And then not to mention the appreciation of the property over that time. So just think about it like an investment. throwing your money away in a rental as opposed to investing in your future.
Cody is 100% right. Let's talk real numbers, people. I have a mortgage on my house. My mortgage is 17 and some change. I have a 322 with an enclosed pool. Where are you going to rent that at? You want a 322 with an enclosed pool? You're looking at $2,300, $2,600 a month. Exactly. I'm locked in for the next 30 years for 17 and some change. And guess what? That could go up a little bit. Sure, St. Lucie raises their taxes. Could go down a little bit the longer I'm in house, because the St. Lucie tax appraiser's office does benefit your taxes, cuts you some slack the longer you're in your house. And guess what? If something happens, you know, I'm an elder millennial. I'm gonna be 38 years old this year. If something changes and I decide I want to have children instead of puppies and kitties, I feel like I need another bedroom because we have 2 home offices in my situation. Guess what? I'm gonna rent that bad boy out. I'm going to rent it out. That is now passive income for me. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to move on to the next house. So even if you have to get in right now on a 2-1 or a 2-2 to make those numbers happen, it's a starter home. Sell it in 5 years, sell it in 3 years, rent it out in 3 years. The money is there. The land is there. What are y'all doing? Come on,
Yeah,
y'all.
you know,
Preach.
I watch a lot of these financial
Enthusiasm.
These financial guys, and they always say that, you know, the people who have assets, you know, whenever they speak about like income inequality and all that kind of stuff, the people who have assets always do better. So, you know, think about obtaining some assets.
And those assets, everyone starts somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to start off with 12 homes. Nobody's how did people get to those 12 homes?
Right.
Unless daddy gave them millions of dollars,
Right.
which isn't happening to any of us on here, you know? Like,
Hey,
You want to talk about a starter home? What about these little 2-2 condos going for 125? You can still find that in Martin County,
Yeah.
3 blocks from the beach. If your realtor knows what they're doing and they know how to set up a search and they know how to put their feelers out and find out what's going on in the background with folks, you can still find affordable housing in this area. It's
Right.
still doable. 125 for a 2-2. You're a millennial or an elder Gen Z, because Jesus Christ, they're getting old. Yeah, we're not going to go there. But you know, and you just need a place for yourself, or you and your golden doodle, or you and your partner. A 2-2 is going to offset you, and they still have low HOAs. I mean, this is doable, folks. If you can do it, you can make it happen. Please be smart with your money. Please don't go and buy the new iPhone 13 with your stimulus check. That's money in the bank.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think one of the last purchases I did, they used part of the stimulus to close on their home. And another thing is that I want to add to this is that people are wondering, oh my gosh, how can somebody put on 5, 10, 15, 20,000 over asking? Well, because they made the jump. I think the first home purchase is probably the scariest. And once you make that purchase, you're like, I can do this again. And everyone here who owns their own home could sell their home, use the money they made from that home to put on a bigger down payment to get that home. So people are asking, where are they getting this money to put down more? Not everyone just saved it. Most of the time they just sold their last home, or they refinanced it they just pulled cash out. They still own the other home and they're having somebody else pay that mortgage. And then they're going and buying another home for 5, 10, 15,000 because they know it's going to appreciate. They know they're going to get their money back out eventually.
That's a great point. I just want to add one last thing to that, because a lot of people think that first-time home buyers, should I say, think, oh, I got to have this elaborate house. It doesn't work that way. Your first-time home buyer should be living in a 2-1 or a 2-2 or something like that. That is your first home. Your estate home, your dream home, whatever home after that becomes your dream home that you want. Should never be your first home, because you're going to everybody knows life throws different things at you. May it be a day, may it be a week, may it be a year, may it be 5, 10 years. Your life will change by the time you're ready to sell your next house.
Thank you, Eric, because I was going to bring that up. Expectations of those buyers. When you are a first-time home buyer and you're like, I want a 3-2 with a pool and a guest house and 12 dogs that convey with the property, you know, like, what are you like? Some of these houses that like people are asking for, they're putting like all these things. They're like, oh, I need this, 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 and this. You want to know what the expectation of my house was? I was like, I want a walk-in closet. I was like, that's what I want. That's
Listen, I just want what I build to be to go smoothly.
yeah, you know, like it's you have to, and that'll be a conversation you have with your realtor, right? And your, you know, your lender with what you can afford. But you need to put the top things at your list that are absolutely must-haves, and that should not be 10 things. That should be like
not once.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is like
I flexible.
you know, my first house, I built from the ground up back in 03, and the builder, like I didn't even have to deal with the lender or a realtor or whatever. The builder, I had so many issues with them. So now I know exactly what to expect on the next one. You know, so that education is priceless also.
Well, I like to put in that what drove me to purchase my first home was the fact that I wanted to see how much I think it was like $1,200 at that time to rent. And I said, well, how much would it be? I do have money saved up. How much would it be to purchase? And when I talked to my loan officer, who basically converted me over to this business, I found out that my mortgage payment was less than the average rent in the area. And although I'm not sure if it's like that now, but it eventually is going to be like that, where the rent's going to start going up. If you haven't already seen it now, you will see it. I've talked to several people who had to leave their home because their home was sold and their rent's going up. So rent is always going to go up, and it's inevitable. But that's what got me to purchase my home. Was I compared them, and I was really shocked with that I saved money purchasing a home.
No, 100%. I really do think right now, to rent, it is more expensive to rent than to buy a home. I have investor clients that want to buy condos, and I'm like, hey, look, you know, there's a tenant in place, you know, the tenant wants to renew the lease. You know, if you buy this as a you know, investment property for passive income, the tenant's already in place and they want to stay. And they're like, oh, well, what is the tenant paying for rent? And I'm like, they pay $950, and they're like, this is going to be renovated and we're going to rent it out for 15. Where's that tenant going to go now? I don't know. But
I was going to bring that up. Like I've seen a lot lately. What these landlords are doing is they're trying to get the people to move so that they can rent it for more money. There's even a situation that I know of. House needs work. Landlord doesn't want to spend the money, but I know that chances are when that person leaves, landlord's going to dump the money and then rent it out for more money. I mean, it's just a trend that's going on now. It's crazy.
It is a crazy trend. There's a lot going on, but guys, that was a great discussion. Guys, if you're just tuning in now, you missed such a hot topic. We just discussed advice for local buyers here along the Treasure Coast, and this video was just gold all the way around. So make sure you guys rewind, rewatch it. The replay will be available on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services. So you guys can go subscribe to that and see all of our past videos along with this video. And you can reach out to the local professionals if there's any questions that you have. The local professionals who are on here are here to help. They have taken time out of their busy schedules to share with you this very important information, these very important messages. So make sure that you guys reach out to them and just go to their pages, give them a like or a follow. You never know what information is going to come up that's going to help you in the future. So we're going to get to, this is Thursday's top tips in real estate. So each of the local professionals is going to give you their number one top tip of the week, as we do each week that we do this, and then we'll close out. So Eric, what's your number one top tip?
Be patient.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Patience is key. And if you listen to all of the rest of the video that we just said, it will teach you why that patience is necessary. And it will tell you why it's important to continue on. It's okay. It's going to be all right. Just breathe, right? Just breathe. Great. Thanks, Eric. And Jessica?
Operator error, sorry. Top tip, man. Eric is right. Patience is a key. Manage your expectations right behind that. Be realistic in this market. Talking about what we could do 1 year ago doesn't help us right now. And when that's what we have to look at, and worrying about what's going to happen next year isn't going to help you right now. We have to manage our expectations, be patient, and be realistic. 100%.
Love that, Jess. Yes, absolutely. Be present in the now and move forward with that aspect, with the future in mind, but don't make promises to yourself in the next year or two. Awesome. Cody, what about you?
I would say, along with being patient and being realistic, whoever your local professionals are, ask them questions about timelines. If you're going to tell me that you're ready to purchase, and as soon as you find out what your number is, I'm thinking, well, it shouldn't take a week, 2 weeks, a month to find out what that number is. So just make sure you're working with people who can give you an answer.
Completely agree. Communication is very important. Thank you, Cody. And Jessica Pecora.
I'm always going to say, make sure you talk to your local lender first, because then it'll give you an idea of what your budget is, what you can afford. And then, of course, make sure that they connect with your local real estate agent and just have them basically come up with a game plan so that you are comfortable, you are ready, and you are competitive in this market.
Awesome. Great information. And I know you guys I don't think you guys got that opportunity to introduce specifically yourselves, but really quick, go around, tell us your name, what company you're at. Eric.
Eric Griemsmann with eXp Realty.
Jessica.
NextHome NextHome Treasure Coast.
Cody.
Cody Fletcher, Bourgeois Real Estate Group, 772-446-2714. All social media, Cody Fletcher Realty. You can find me anywhere.
Whoop, whoop. Jessica.
Jessica Pecora with Coast to Coast Lending. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok.
Ooh, ooh. And all of their Facebook pages are linked in the description of this video. Go check them out. They're amazing. Thank you guys for your time and energy today and big brains in real estate. I am Lucie McGuire with Arrow Title Services, and we will be back another week with another topic. So make sure you stay tuned, like, follow, subscribe to Arrow Title Services so you can stay up to tune with all of the things that we have coming up. And we are just here to help. Each and every one of us are here to help. So have an amazing rest of your day. If you're tuning in right now, make sure you watch this video, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.